Can FUT do an upset here and see themselves in the grand finals?
Also, you know, you sit here and one of those moments, as we see 85% of the fans are going with the classic SK. 15% on the FUT. And I imagine that that was not an easy choice for a lot of these fans to make. That said, I think the SK gaming team is perhaps a little more proven, is what I will say. But I think that recently, man, I'm trying to make heads or tails out of that poll. Everybody's going to SK. But this is perhaps the larger jump for them. Is it just team recognition? Is that what we're seeing here?
This is the question, you know, because, I mean, as I was saying off stream before we came live, I feel like a lot of teams are looking upon SK and still seeing the SK of last month and at the beginning of the year. They are no longer that squad. You know, that has been made perfectly clear here today. And for that same reason, a lot of the SK fan base really coming back to the forefront of the voice and saying, we're back to cheer who we've been wanting to cheer for all year long. Let's see, though, the draft for Layer Cake takes its form. Ruffs coming in for SK to combine with the RT, the bans being Bonnie, Max, and Tick. For FUT, it was bans of Janet, Sprout there, and Penny to add to their pick there of the Gene, following up shortly. But, you know, Layer Cake really does cater a lot to some aggressive ideas we've seen in North America, a great deal of Sam on this particular map. I wonder whether FUT might be daring enough to do so, whether SK might be with their third and final pick coming in just a moment. But Carl kind of come in. Control is all the rage here so far for FUT. Let's see how their third and final brawler takes its form.
One Layer Cake. Gene is definitely my first selection as well. I probably want to see some... Do I go sharpshooter or do I go something annoying here? I'm classic. Give me a sharpshooter. Otis, okay. I like Otis as a nice little blend. Long range damage, but certainly brings some utility as well. This is objectively a good choice. And the Grom across the way will bring a ton of damage as well. Hard to deal with specifically on Layer Cake, in my opinion. At least I always get hit by it, but maybe that's not what I should be basing my stuff. But the RT and the Colonel Ruffs to flank him should be a good look.
I like the Otis pick from FUT there, by the way, just to kind of preempt any kind of tanky idea, anything that's going to push them back into the spawn side. And I think the Sprout ban as well, as we saw today with SK in that fifth and final set against Zayt's division, picking that Sprout, leaving it with Chaos or Yoshi. Both are amazing with it. I actually had to do a bit of a double take actually today to see whether it was Yoshi or Chaos playing it, because it was phenomenal in dry season. So I think that was a good idea there from FUT, just to kind of like, you know, sway the draft a little bit more in their favor as to how they want to play the game. But nonetheless, Grom's still going to be very suppressive here as well. So let's see, though, who gets the early start. No Vengeful Spirit value there for Drake. The Manta going very aggressive here on the right-hand side, getting behind Yoshi. Big time, and a big flying hook from OP as well. Everyone on the side of FUT is just wasting no time here, but they are behind. And more so now.
5 stars plus the blue one for SK. Chaos kind of tossed the sandbags out there in a weird moment, but they're here now. Semantic on the flank, looking for Jettin on the right side. Jettin hiding well and hitting him with the Grom stuff. Oh, man. The Otis just shoved out. No kills for FUT just yet. There's the pull, and just like that, I'm here to curse things. 5-3, SK still in the lead.
Oh, big touch from OP. Got a bit short-changed there, honestly, because he did tremendously well until that, and a bit of a missed pull from Drage will not alleviate the problem. 7 stars with SK. The blue star still with FUT. A 4-star lead then for SK, so 2 takedowns needed for them. OP is too weak to really continue contesting this left-hand side and shooting his way around it. A little bit of a connecting shot, though, from Chaos will keep him low. And a great angle there from Chaos. Double tap, super for his troubles. Supply drop coming in thick and fast as well, and that's only more power to SK.
Jet here just keeping Semantic at bay. Ope jumps in, trying to get the moves, and takes down the thrower. Beautiful use of Carl, but the trade out's great. 8 seconds to go, and FUT are here. Drage versus Jetton, 12-6 overall. Drage can't do it all by him.
I mean, I like the way that FUT really approached the situation. That could have definitely gone a different way. But going into this matchup, they've got to be a little bit more cautious as to how they approach the early moments, because SK will be that team that go back on the defensive and play passive, which they did. But it's good to see that FUT, for that same reason, are thinking aggression, because that is the way that you play against a team which want to try to deviate down that path. So far, so good this time around, but just the blue star with FUT. Chaos pushing up incredibly deep on this right-hand side, and if OPE wants to flying hook in, those super to be able to help out with the takedown, which he kind of needs against the situation of things. Yoshi low as well. Semantic feels it's time to push and goes in. So far, no kills on either side, and there's been a lot of gameplay already gone out.
Yeah, for FUT, they clearly are operating around that gene pool, so nothing doing is good for FUT, because they're just a couple of pulls here, and they're able to kind of bank points that way. SK, what they did in game number 1, which I want to see them do here in game number 2, is they played aggressively and built a lead so that when Ope goes in and wipes everybody, they're still up. That didn't happen here. And so Ope went in and wiped everybody, but now it's FUT in the lead, 8-2, 8-6, thanks to Jetton getting the answer back.
But it's moments like that where FUT really should be able to secure the kill and not give over any stars in the process. But a huge pull from Drage will extend their lead massively so, and they'll push back into the spawn. They'd like to secure another one really to get out of this pickle, but OPE just juking his way around it. Healing up now, the back of the healing pass from Drage. They're far from out of the woods. A big flying hook yet again from OPE, and he should secure Jetton, which he does, leaving Chaos really vulnerable on the left, as well as Yoshi really vulnerable on the right. Another flying hook back in. OPE is everywhere in this match, and it's almost over 3 stars away from FUT ending it out early.
Man, flying hook so impactful, changes Carl overall, makes him so aggressive, and FUT are able to kind of like be more aggressive, so when those gene pulls did come through, they weren't enough to kind of fight against the mountain that was SK's victories. And so FUT realized that strategy of sitting back and pulling wasn't going to work. So, all right, Carl, go, be aggressive. And that's how they found their victory, changing their approach.
Watching OPE on this Carl really is something special. Gotta say it. Like, you can just see when he's one shot away from super, he's already preparing the super before he connects the shot, because he's so confident it's gonna land regardless. And there it is, exactly as I'm speaking. Can't quite commit there, and I fully agree with the idea of going back. He had to do it. He would have fed stars over, and FUT would much prefer to keep this lead. It worked out much better for them in the last game. Another flying hook in on the right-hand side now for OP. He's swapping lanes again, all over this game, left and right. He's everywhere. But again, you've got to be careful to not hand over stars to SK. If SK get the lead, they're going back into the spawn, and more often than not, they can hold it pretty well.
Exactly. That's the problem. SK with the lead. So keep everybody at bay. FUT, that is. Red team just needs to keep SK at bay and go in when they choose. That was the wrong choice. And so was that. Yoshi does get taken down. But after the exchange, SK are on top, 6 in a blue, above 5.
This is still a winning position here for FUT. They just need one singular kill, and that's exactly where you want to be in the final moments of 25 seconds and counting. But again, this is where SK feel very much at home. And more often than not, it does lead to a win, but FUT closing in now, and good HP for it. If OB gets super here as well, it'd be massive. They're coming back a little bit too soon. Jetton, though, way out of position. OP punishes the takedown, but it's not enough. They need another 3 seconds to do it. The lines up are there, and Chaos though will survive. And
See what that's exactly where my mind goes. Is the old teammate conversation. Realistically, you know, we like to make a lot about these players knowing the enemy playbook and this, that, and a third. I think a lot of Brawl strategy is out in the open. We kind of know how teams approach. The meta's pretty cut and dry. You know, there are some kind of secret strategies that we hold for big lands, but in general, you know, the idea that Drage and Semantic are going to be able to read everything SK Gaming are doing, I think that's not perhaps the right angle here. Am I correct?
I would say more or less, yeah. Ultimately, what I will say is that I do like the look of the bans. I mean, SK banning out Meg, which might be a bit of a head turner, but we saw it played out on this very much earlier today in APAC.
Yep.
And I think that shows some good awareness from SK. FUT have been playing Meg a lot recently, and I'm sure it shows on the API in terms of their play rates. So definitely showing some awareness to what they would like to bring here. So hopefully for FUT, they've got some plan Bs and Cs lined up as well. But Janet, for sure, a solid choice to come in, and as SK respond with Bonnie, and that is an SK pick if I ever saw one, and a great place for it as well because it works fantastically well. Tick for control. I like the way it's shaping up to be on the side of SK, and if FUT can keep up their same ideas following on from this Janet, I think we're going to have good comps on both sides here, actually.
For sure. Flaring Phoenix in particular, honestly, it's just a mess of a map, so I think there's a lot of strong choices. We saw some very interesting throwers going out last time around, as far as our sets are concerned. I almost never dislike a good Grom pick, but I also never dislike a good Jean pick. Last choice over here, and it's Fang.
Ooh.
Fang goes well with the Jean. You pull him in, and Fang secures it. Bonnie with a little bit of drop the base. I also like Fang in knockout specifically because Fang's super tends to do a lot of damage, but then put him in a bad spot. But you don't have to worry about being in a bad spot if everyone's dead in knockout. So always like Fang here.
And it's going to be an interesting choice as to who plays it as well, because Semantic notorious on the Fang, but OPE is very much the flavor for him as well. Yoshi going to be bringing in the Otis here, and I quite like that as a great hard counter to Fang. Ultimately, it's one thing to go in aggressively, try to get that takedown, but if there's an Otis mute available, then you're just a sitting duck, and you're going to be feeding over kills, and kills are what matters big time in knockout here. There are some vulnerabilities, though, a little bit on the side of SK regardless. That Bonnie is definitely going to be another great escape mechanism for a counter to that Fang, and leaving therefore the Tick as the more vulnerable, for sure. We'll see. I imagine they're the last hurrah gadget being ran by Guille. But in we go. And it's Semantic on the Fang, and that makes me worried. But at the same time, everyone on the side of SK knows exactly what he's capable of doing with the Fang because they were on the same squad last year. So there is that as a bit of counter maneuvering potentially on the cards here. Look at him going on the left-hand side lane, straight in. Needs to get that super quickly because if he's got that, then he is taken much more seriously.
Right now, a lot of presence in the middle lane here. Ope off by their own. There's a little bit of damage pushing FUT backwards, but nothing really happening just yet. I think Fang really needs to find some damage out. Chaos goes down, in goes Semantic. Nice knockback coming out for the rest of the team, and they knocked him down. It's a 2-on-2 with Ope in the middle, turns it to a 2v1, but touches the gas. And so now it's Drage versus Guille.
Great there from Drage. He had to be cold exterior there to make sure that he didn't fumble that. We've seen it happen too many times with Jean in those final moments and just kept Guille low enough to be able to secure it. But again, that tick pick on the side of SK with Guille's running that gadget is a concern. They know that now is the case, and the last hurrah is going to cause a bit of a complication for Fang on the side of FUT to time that perfectly to ensure the takedown before you get that knockback, because with a bit of team support, it really can see to itself. And I like that support that we saw on the side of FUT in the previous game as well, when Drake was just sitting in the bush waiting for the pull and waiting for his teammates to be able to handle when the body came in, and you can see that communication was really there. Now though, low HP is a chance potentially here for SK to push, but they decide better of it. Want to keep their full HP and wait for the gas, but now Chaos gets impatient, jumps in and gets rewarded for it. Tickhead coming in, taken care of, but a 3 versus 2 is not great news for FUT.
Well, Drage in trouble as well. The Tick's going to keep him backwards, and the gas going to hit him. No, there it is. And so SK Gaming are able to go ahead and take round number 2. Bring us to a round number 3 here. An important one for SK.
Actually pop that from Chaos. Lands a couple shots, maybe just a little bit shy, but Drage has the pull. That's what's keeping SK back. And Semantic knows that his super is going to mean that the aggressive nature of that particular brawler. Can't really go the left-hand side lane, though. Yoshi's got the mute to hand as well, but now he's on the right-hand side, gets a big stun off there. Chaos weak gear as well, but the last hurrah was big. Big mute as well. Drage to the pool, gets Yoshi taken care of. Chaos goes in, a bit overzealous there. It's a 3 versus 1 now, and surely this will lead to FUT taking the game.
And it almost has to. Guille by himself on a tick. No disrespect, but I don't think that's happening. Semantic gets funny with it.
It's looking that way so far. Don't want to speak too soon. There's a lot of defensive maneuvering available to SK that wasn't quite put into motion in the last game, but this time round, mistakes can be learned from. Drage trying to get that pull as quickly as possible, as Semantic as well. And for that same reason, SK need the defensive measures in play. I think Yoshi's got possibly the closest to getting his so far, and that's always a good thing to have. OP just trying to avoid feeding into Guille here, because ultimately depriving Tick of those countermeasures is very crucial with a comp like this. Literally both sides trying to earn the supers, and Chaos is the first to earn his.
Where do you go in, though, is the question. Now that you see that IKAOS has the super, you probably spread out if you're FUT. And that's kind of what they're trying to do here. Ope survives, but Drage does not. So the trade out happens, wasn't on Chaos's target, but it goes down all the same. Ope half or less, Semantic now half, and even less, as he's going to go ahead and throw this one and give round number 1 to SK, denying some of their super.
Yeah, I'm all for hero plays there, but ultimately Yoshi had the mute. Guille, as we know now, running last hurrah as the gadget got the knockback. Nothing realistically a Fang can do in that scenario. Would much prefer to keep his super for this round, and I think that is definitely the wise call to make. As OPE looking to have a bit of a better round. Definitely, I would say that he was the forefront of the scrutiny on the side of SK in that last one, as they've got to do. You know, he is a real problem, especially if he takes to the skies. Going to be showing up where everyone is. Yoshi going to swap lanes, go to the left-hand side now, because again, Semantic has got that super, but now Semantic going to the mid and just surely waiting on Drage to earn his super so they can combine forces. That's why Gears is keeping such a close range away from him and does not want to feed him anything more than he has to.
Semantic now has that super available. IKAOS does not. Those are our initiators that we're looking for. Drage also has a super. He can pull somebody in as well, so FUT has a couple of options here. Unless they take Drage down, there's the pull, and they take down Semantic first. Drage follows, and now it's all against Ope. But Ope in the sky wastes some time. Ultimately does fall down.
Imagine if you got Team White from the skies and how beautiful that would have looked, but nonetheless, SK duped it perfectly. I mean, I don't think he got a single shot off, and that speaks volumes to me, as they are really taking this one seriously. Bringing back that game was very, very important, and now FUT not looking nearly as comfortable as they did coming in with that first game win, and now in a serious bit of peril as to going down 2 sets here. This is a really, really crucial game here, because if FUT can just bring it back and come out strong, it'll even things out. If they don't, and SK continue as they meant to go on, they could be going 2 sets ahead, and that could be too much for FUT to be able to handle.
That is possible. If SK are 2, it would take a reverse sweep, and those are pretty rare.
Yeah. For context, if you are just joining the stream, we've already had 2, almost 3 of them today.
Well, Drage finds the pull, and he's had 2, almost 3 of those. But Yoshi winds up getting the trade out. Guille going to go ahead and call this one. Ope still able to build up some super, nonetheless. And so FUT are able to find their foothold, if you will.
Well, I see what you did there. I like it.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Unintended, though, right? Unintended.
That one was on purpose, for sure.
Ticker coming in, and it is taken care of as the thick head gear is being ran by Guille, so those thick heads do count for quite a lot, especially against this kind of comp. It's quite difficult to take care of sometimes, and hence another reason why OP has got to stay on his feet, as he is probably the best prepared to do so. Chaos low here, popping gadgets to give himself more maneuverability, but Semantic closing in, can't be far away from Super, I feel, based on his aggressiveness in that scenario. Maybe one shot away, and there it is. Exactly that, but Drage can't really support the action here. No magic hand, low on HP, got to heal up, and that might deflate a little bit of the aggressiveness there.
Well, OP dealing with Chaos and denying a Super still. Gonna take to the sky and see if they can push out the right side lane. Not gonna happen, but here comes Semantic, and just like that, FUT coalesce onto the mid lane and take him down. Chaos gonna go towards the top and fall as well, and just like that, FUT
Grab be the same. That's the question. And Gen 4, we haven't seen it for a while, but I really do like this matchup. But boy, oh boy, things have changed since the last time we saw it. The indestructible walls now more important than ever before, and it does mean that if you get a Meg in the middle of a Poco, you're going to struggle to get them out. Pam used to have a great time here, kind of dwindled away a little bit across the regions, but nonetheless we saw that very brawler played out here earlier today in the APAC region. So like me, you know, they know, because I really do think Pam here has a great time. But for sure, let's see what the options are. Rico banned, very important for FUT because SK would love it for iChaos. Meg banned for SK because they know that FUT would love it. And Stu coming in as the first aggressive brawler to the table. And I really do like it. It could be OPE, it could be Stemantic, but either way, it's a win-win scenario for me.
I like the Sandy ban here as well. We're seeing a little bit of a reminder that she exists, you know, or he exists rather, and just like seeing Sandy in the meta. The Stew on Gem 4, always going to be a fan of that. With the unbreakable walls, as RT is locked in here, I raise the single word question: throwers?
Good question. Actually, to be fair, yeah, it's probably normally a later pick. Amber coming in, well, they can see the big picture, you know. Sprout, if SK were going to go for it, needs to kind of land it though here, as they are, well, actually got the third and final pick rather, so actually they're in a perfect spot for something along those lines. And going back to Sandy as well, as we mentioned, we saw it earlier today, didn't we, in Hard Rock Mine. It was a basic attack damage buff of just 40 HP, but enough to warrant the ban that we're seeing on the side of FUT there, as like you say, just creeping slightly back into the meta. Definitely lacking though a gem carrier. I'd imagine the Stu wants to stay aggressive on the side lanes here for FUT, so I personally do love the Pam idea. Going to be taking in the Gus. I don't know whether I'm a massive fan of that particular pick, but nonetheless, if it does go on the lane side, then it will have some decent range to go up against things like the Amber. Let's see what they're going to be following up with, though. As
also, a last-second shield on the Stew, never a bad thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's just shield to anyone last second is always going to be a good time, isn't it? Yeah. So, I don't know. For me, I just kind of don't really take to Gus, despite the play rates for him being incredibly high. And also the win rates, so I can't fault it. Ems coming in for FUT. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, Ems. You know, I guess at the end of the day, you know, just area control. Ems is a brawler that I feel like we have approached as a niche character. She has a very specific reason to pick her, but more and more teams are just kind of going with Ems, and it's been working out. So I'll be honest, man, I don't love this draft from FUT Esports.
I was gonna say the same thing on the Eva side. Actually, it's a bit weird, isn't it?
It is. I immediately like SK's draft a little bit better because I think that Colonel Ruffs is always good. Stu's always good, but Colonel Ruffs is always good in a more wide brush sort of way. He can do the damage, he can help his teammates, he can drop the bat, like he can do a whole bunch of stuff, whereas Stu is just always good because he's always Stu. So I like the Ruffs a little bit more, and also Amber I think is very, very, very strong. So are either of these compositions getting my #1 comp of the day award? Probably not. It doesn't exist. But still, I like SK's a little more.
I think the Rust is interesting because obviously Chaos is such an established, Rico player anyway, so we can really use those bounce shots to great avail and already gets that supply drop taken care of, allowing more maneuverability on that back left-hand side pocket. But no Pam, no Gene. Interesting decision making on both sides. I mean, the Crow would have been great. Maybe it would have struggled against the Ruffs, but I definitely feel there's a couple of brawlers which could have definitely played into things a bit more. Regardless, it does feel like so far SK are making their comp work just a little bit better. Now as well with the break on the right-hand side from Jetton. Burning down the bush is going to allow to see that crossover. And that's key, really is to know exactly where your opposition lies. I think SK, their comp, I'm swaying more towards that break there on the top left. Actually just isolating, the bush, getting rid of it. And FUT have got a lot of catching up to do.
Just a little bit. Trailing by 3 gems, and they don't have mid control. Jetton's doing a good job here dealing with Semantic. This Stu has not been able to get involved, and just now he tries. Can't take down the Amber, needs help from the mid lane. But the countdown's already going. 10 seconds to go. 10 gems on Yashi. And that's going to be it for SK Gaming, taking game number 1 of set number 2. Set number 3.
FUT chose theirs for a reason as well. We can't forget that. We've yet to kind of see where their thought process lies. Just wasting no time at all to get into the mid. Go on.
Yeah, I think this EMS makes more sense when you have mid control and aim to keep it. I can't imagine hinging my entire draft on that. But either way, FUT now have their position in the mid. And now let's see if OP can do what I've put out there. Maybe that's what the EMS is here for. And Chaos definitely kept on the outskirts of this midsection. 6 gems to 0 as iChaos wins the battle. And the other battle won as well, so it's a 2-on-1. Drage pushed out, and now it's SK's turn to own the mid.
Yeah, big aggressive plays from Chaos. Drage still healing off the back of it, in fact, and shortly tapped up by Yoshi. We're going to get back into the mid now anytime soon. But the problem that I have with the FUT comp, really, for me, is the fact that they are already playing to the command. And they're at bay to SK, aren't they? Because SK can break open, take away some of the bush. They can shape the map to how they want it to be, when they want it to be. And FUT can't do any of that. They can really only depend upon their aggression, but when SK know exactly where they are over time, it's really the early game where FUT can thrive, and that's now past us. They've got the gem lead for now, but have they got enough to be able to whistle down this utility more and get the gems in their pocket? Big takedown from Yoshi, and now it's Strange again. That same story of the 1v3, and oh no, it's going from bad to worse. They'll leave the gems there, but they'll come back and it'll be probably 8 gems apiece. It's just SK looking in control, don't they? They really do.
Yeah, Sim a little aggressive. Basically, Ope seems to be going for these plays, and Sim tries to finish them off. This time, it works out. But the other times, both players fall, and then Drage is pushed out by himself. FUT are able to regain their gems, regain mid, and now they're going to retreat. They've got 10 seconds to go. iChaos on the left-hand side, dealt with by Semantic. Mid lane, dealt with by the rest of the squad, but the kill is good already. And so FUT Esports will start the countdown again. This time they might have a better shot. Never mind.
They've got to be a bit careful here. I mean, that was definitely looking to me like a surefire countdown in favor, but the gems are still spawning in. And there's 10 now. They've got to go for a takedown. OP is low and probably water down 180 HP above his head. Surely can someone finish him off? Chaos is trying for it. Huge gush shield to keep him in the question. Allowing them to get on that countdown was definitely a far better play than what we saw while they were on that countdown.
Reset. Games in each corner. iChaos the first one to fall here. Nice pickups by SK Gaming. Although Drage this time standing his ground. Drage has been retreating most of the time, and now Semantic getting aggressive, and that's been the bane of FUT's existence most of the time. But if it works out 2 out of 10 times, and those 2 times win you the game, is it worth? I guess that's the question.
Sticky oil down for Jetton. You won't want to burn that. They want to keep Semantic right there. Just keeping him vulnerable, and yeah, that's going to be surely a trade-off. I'm sure Semantic will take it. Big shield from Drage keeps both himself and OPE present in the mid. But amplified shot there from Yoshi applied to OPE. And more slow again. Just it's becoming that same story with Amber now. It's almost better to have your super down and not really burn it, isn't it? Semantic Nova comes in with the aggressive play, gets the takedown this time round, and that's making it a 3 versus 2. But SK just continue the assault. Drage slow low and goes down yet again. It's going to force the gems to OP. He's got to retreat here.
Oh, but the secondary kill after the fact. Doesn't even matter that FUT get to regain their gems. It is a 2-gem lead now, give or take. That last one likely belongs to the red team. So SK are 1 away from the countdown, and their lead should be such that they can full retreat and not have to deal with a match. Drage gets poked and popped, and that's a blue team countdown. SK Gaming on the good side.
What can you really do? The sticky oil there in the mid was just so suppressive. I'm sure frustration building within FUT. They just wants to go in and just go and force it. You can't really do that. And that's what we're seeing SK is able to handle this situation so easily, so successful. Mentioned, you know, you've got your notepad and pen out, F-Dot. I mean, the one thing that I wrote down in mine was just simply, you know, nerf that gear. Amber's mythic gear is looking very, very daunting, competitive, isn't it? And you can just kind of see how much that slow really just evolves the super, and taking it away from something of a damage deal is just something of a just complete area denial. And you know, if I was FUT, I would have been pretty frustrated in that scenario as well. I probably would have gone in overly aggressive as they did as well. Regardless, though, this is a chance to wipe the slate clean and a chance for FUT to try to rekindle things and bring back a set. And you know, who knows, F-Dot? Maybe we'll go to the 5th and final set. We haven't done that at all today yet, have we?
It's been a while, I believe.
It's been a while.
But right away, Drage, Semantic, Open, they go, so about that Amber. And they just ban it. No, thank you. Obviously, on parallel plays, I think she's a little bit more attractive, but still, getting rid of the hot hands, a good look. Stu, one more time being selected here for the red squad. And again, it's a tumultuous pick. That's what I'm going to say. It is spicy because of how we have seen it play. I think it's a double-edged sword. That's the phrase I'm going to use. Stu has been a double-edged blade for this FUT team. And so across the way, Janet, first pick for SK Gaming.
I think it's a solid pick for me from FUT. Otis coming in for SK. Again, just to ensure they've got something in the back pocket for any potential tanks here, as Ash is definitely up there for me. I actually think Jesse has a place here. I mean, it was banned previously, I think with the Navi matchup earlier today. And it has a spot. I know it gets a lot of hate, and I'm sure the Twitch chat's going crazy at me right now for saying that, but it is an option nonetheless. The Amber ban, I think it was a very smart one from FUT, not based upon the last set, but simply because the ability to burn down the bush on this particular map definitely opens up a lot of doors. Pam as well has a great place here as well. Carl coming in for FUT. The aggressive flying hook in and the supers to be able to match. We've already seen how well it fares for OPE, and B going to match it as well. Bit less sold on the B myself. I mean, it's always a good one, isn't it? I mean, it's top 3 in the meta right now, let's be honest. So it doesn't really have a bad place anywhere. But let's see how it fares. I quite like what FUT are working with. Let's say that.
Honey molasses. That's the end of my analysis. There's B. Honey molasses. See you later. Definitely a big look here on Hot Zone. Guille is back in, by the way.
Oh yeah. And I
like this move. We don't, or I like teams that do this move in general. We see Stamina play around with the 4-man roster, SK Gaming play with the 4-man roster. What brings Guille in and out? I don't know just yet. We'll have to take a look at trends and when they switch these players in, or, you know, make land so we can ask you.
It seems like when SK get a set lead, doesn't it? When they have a little bit of a set to play with at the moment, it seems to be just kind of like, you know, bringing him in. And again, I think, go on.
Is he aggressive that you think like it's bring Guille in for extra aggression? It's more of a gamble, but win more type deal?
I think at the moment SK know that they've got a great thing going with Jet, and there's been a definite shift in the way that they are playing with him for sure. And I think that it wasn't really fair for, Guy to go out on that last matchup as well in Knockout, because he had the most kills out of any of the players in that set. Let's be honest, that was the stats. So yeah, I don't think he had a bad game at all. He just had the worst brawler to be able to combat a lot of what had to throw at it. So I think bringing him back in now makes a lot of sense. And playing on the spike, I think it's a great brawler to have here, great for control. And already it's giving SK a commanding position here as they already approach deep into the mid.
Well, so far, we're tied at about 22 each. And it's going to be iChaos making the first move as we see SK Gaming trying to push into this top side. Ope still alive, able to deal, and there is that honey. See you later. Great job played by FUT, specifically Ope, dealing with the aggressive iChaos. Did it translate to score? Not necessarily, but it denied SK's push, which is huge.
It was a pretty decent defense for the most part, but it does say to me that SK mean business. They've already capped almost the entirety of their own spawn side, and that was the one chance realistically there for FUT to contest it, because now SK can just go straight to that top right and focus all their attention and all their aggression on it. In the meanwhile, FUT are trying to play catch up a little bit to it. Drage goes in, gets the takedown, the mute is there. Will he trickle down? No, Giga gonna finish off regardless with the curveball there as well. There's neck and neck, but again, the fact that SK have already capped their own zone does speak volumes here, and FUT are playing a little bit of catch up, to be honest.
Just a little bit. This top side already secured, and Yashi just hanging out, building a house. Not threatened at all by Ope as he's kept at bay by iChaos. Here comes Drage, and that's going to be over as well. And so SK Gaming winning each of their important duels here. Because of that, they're going to be inching towards victory, 90% and counting. Maybe scratch the end counting part. But SK Gaming certainly in the driver's seat. Got to take care of Drage, but they won't be able to close up. So Guy does from a distance. FUT cannot break this mid door, though.
They really can't. I think Drage is not running protective pirouette either. I'm not sure that was intentional. I assume so. But it's definitely... Oh, it could be the skin animation, to be fair. But one thing's for sure is that SK try to give themselves a bit of a leg up in this game, because SK are now on match point. They are one game away from making the grand finals in what is their first monthly final of this entire year.
SK Gaming made the push in, and FUT played good defense. But the difference is SK Gaming then just won again. FUT never really had an offensive opportunity. Very different, even this early on in game number 2, as FUT not only win the defensive matchups, but now they're stepping forward. Drage, very aggressive, and wins it. Falls after the fact, but this is already a better match, a better game than FUT had in game number 1.
100%. They've done exactly what I said. Just go on the zone, play aggressive, and try to return what SK fed to them in the previous one, but now they have lost control. And at the moment, SK are very close to finishing their zone, now fully capped, so they can go again, focusing on that top right, and this is exactly what happened previously. They've got to hold their own, they've got to secure some kills, and assert their authority here, because time is effectively against them. They haven't really kept much of their own zone either, but that's kind of money in the bank almost, and I hope they haven't placed too much of an objective lead over that idea, because it can go from bad to worse. Semantic's got to clear up this trade here, get some good shots, and now the spawn in from OPE secures it, so not a bad position, but they got to get ahead, back up the map, secure their own zone, and bring this back down to business.
SK now back in the driver's seat. EA getting tooled around by Stu while the rest of the team deals with the other side. iChaos survives. No one else does. And there's the end of it. FUT has 72%. Everything else needs to come from an aggressive play. SK Gaming, same deal. But SK has been more aggressive, more upfront, and more pushed forward than the red team. In fact, there's another big W. Yashi steps on the point. Guy and iChaos healing up.
And this is where things get very sticky, don't they? For FUT. They're going to go the aggressive, trying to double down here, and Chaos Slow's got to take to the skies, which he does now, but it's allowed Drage to get on that zone, buy some time, have Semantic underneath it, but the mute spot on there from Yoshi. Drage, though, stays alive, and such a crucial time to do so. It's neck and neck, but Guille on the zone is speeding in more objective power to SK. Only 10% left. They've got to shake him. They've got to shake him now, and they've got to start to come together here, or it's going to be all over. And SK Gaming make it to the grand finals of their first monthly final of the year.
What a fantastic play out of these guys. You can see Pedro and everybody just well-earned, well-deserved celebration from this team who has sort of Scooby-Doo ran into 2023. You know, in the first frame, they stay in one place and then they zoom. Well, they're hoping for the zoom now because they certainly haven't moved up